Good morrow, citizens. Set your singars to frequency hop, rotate your selector switch from safe to semi, and tune in. For it's the only podcast that brings you an inside view of the lives, times, and laughs of our service members. Welcome to Motor Pool Mondays. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Maiden podcast of Motor Pool Mondays. I'll be one of your hosts, Jake, joined with
Robert.
And I'm Mike.
Today we'll be going over the main points of the podcast, why we decided to do this, our motivations behind joining, and our personal histories as hosts. Starting out with Robert.
Thanks for the introduction, Jake. So, a little bit about me. I served in the Army for 6 years. I was active duty. I was a forward observer when I got in. I did 2 years as an NCO, which I was in charge of operations and planning. I was in charge of a platoon minus of soldiers, so I have leadership experience, as well as the aforementioned operations and planning. I served overseas in Afghanistan for a year and Jordan for 6 months. In my time in Afghanistan, I spent most of it, about the 8 out of 12 months, maybe 10 out of 12 months, in the JOC, which I was dragged there by one of our other co-hosts, Mike.
Hi. You're welcome for saving you from the minefield.
Sure.
Still waiting on that brown star.
Paperwork, right?
Yeah, but you never signed the thing.
I didn't have to.
Well, somebody didn't sign it.
No, they didn't.
I mean, I got the brown star. I'm just waiting on that, that Valor device.
The V device.
Yeah.
No, I got that.
Really, I don't know.
Understandable. It's a little
S1.
I know, they're the worst. So a little bit more about me is, like I said, I have leadership experience for about 2 years at the end of it, so I have an idea of the kind of minutia of inter-office politics that go into the unit specifically. It's one of the major reasons that I ended up getting out, even though I never had planned on making the Army a career anyways. Kind of the inner politics in the unit kind of made me want to get out, just because it shows that it's a lot more caring about covering your ass than actually caring about your soldiers. And that was kind of a disappointment from the leadership aspect. It's something you don't really see until you get into a leadership position. So that's one of the big reasons that I wanted to do this, was to not bitch about the leadership, because I don't want to just do that the entire time and rag on them, but I want to shed some light on possibly how I think they could get better, and I don't want to speak on anybody's behalf either, is the other thing. I don't want you to think that I'm speaking on your behalf or any of my co-hosts' behalf either. But that aside...
Speaking of covering your ass.
I got pretty good at it.
Well trained.
Yeah, right? But
Best you can be.
That aside, I met Jake in college, and we got together. We had a lot of cups of flat white vanilla.
No one knows what that is.
I don't like the vanilla. You do too much.
I like the vanilla.
Well, what the heck is a flat white?
It's a coffee, man.
It's a coffee. They use risotto beans. Anyways.
It's coffee, man.
It's a whole thing.
It's fancy coffee.
Anyways.
Oh, my God. You could have just said coffee.
I've seen you drink wine. Let him finish.
It's a latte. It's espresso.
Could have just said a latte.
I could have. But I didn't.
But you had to confuse the entire audience, and I had to interject so they would have clarity. So,
Well, they might as well get used to that.
Because just because you said...
Hey, go figure the infantry guy doesn't know what a flat white is.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Let him go on.
You have... Every infantryman that is listening to this podcast right now is laughing because they think flat white means penis. So we just needed to clear that up.
Really? That's the...
You guys are a bunch of perverts, man.
That's the crossover?
Dude, if it's even remotely related, an infantry guy will think anything is a penis immediately.
Well, I'm glad you've shed some light today. We've already started out with
We're already learning new things.
Right.
Well,
Clearly, you've never seen it snow in the Army.
We'll get there.
anyways, back to the reasons that I wanted to do this, other than, like I said, the leadership thing.
You were talking about us sitting down with coffee.
Yeah.
Snowman penises. That's what happens when it snows. I just want to clarify.
I don't know. Anyways, I do believe that wraps it up for me. I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Mike over here.
Who obviously was in the infantry.
Mike's done. All right.
See, this is what they do. All
right, go on.
They take the grunts,
Here we go.
and they silence us. This is the way it happens.
Oh, here we go.
Let me hear it.
So, I spent 5 years in, I met Robert in Afghanistan. I spent about 2 years in a line infantry platoon, and then I wound up working in brigade operations in the brigade plan cell in the S3 shop. From there, I was the aide-de-camp to our brigade commander for about a year right before I got out, which was just a really fantastic job because it allowed me to kind of see everything from like the infantry line platoon all the way up through the operations at battalion, then brigade level, and then finally see kind of the command section, at brigade level, which was just, a fascinating experience to see kind of how the whole organization worked. But right now, I'm a student at the University of Denver pursuing my bachelor's degree in economics. And my main motivation for doing this podcast kind of is really to, explore the the military to civilian divide that exists in terms of understanding of, I really don't feel that, I feel like there's a lot of respect from the civilian community, which I'm super grateful for and thankful for, but I don't think they necessarily understand kind of the military and the people who, serve in uniform and what we're all about. And I think there's almost a little bit of hero worship that goes on when, at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of regular people who put the uniform on and found this kind of, as their calling, and we're not in any way, shape, or form above them or better than them because of that. It's just, you're in this really tight-knit, super, familial brotherhood and sisterhood. And when you see somebody, who's under duress, of course there are acts of, extreme heroism and bravery to protect those you love. That's natural. But I don't think that there's any sort of, better person or better human that goes and serves. So I think it's, for me, really trying to figure out and, get those two sides, the civilian and the military veteran communities kind of, talking and get them a little bit more intertwined and blend those. The other thing that I would, really like to pursue is just, really exploring that and that brotherhood and the sisterhood that I talked about, and exploring, how that, that makes such an impact on all of us, and how it's such a great community and provides such strength between all of the service members. And with that, I will pass it on to your next host, Jake.
I'd like to start by saying I'm really into astrology. Hi, everybody. I'm Jake.
What a pogue thing to say.
It's like you served in Kuwait or something.
Yeah, there you go. Spoilers, man. So, hi, everybody. I'm Jake. I'll be your comedic relief throughout most of this podcast, since both these knuckleheads don't say anything funny.
What's my horoscope for today?
Yeah, you can look it up on your phone.
You're the one who's into this.
Yeah, I'm super duper into astrology, man. That was a joke. But you see,
infantry goes right over my head, dude.
Yeah, everything goes right over your head. You need more hair. But I joined in 2011.
I do not need more hair. Go on our Facebook page. My picture's there. I have a wonderful head of hair.
You do have a wonderful head of hair.
It's quite nice.
You feel better?
I do. You can continue now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was insecure.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all heroes here.
Oh my God.
You're gonna cut that.
Yeah.
He's not gonna cut that.
So first of all, I'd like to say that yeah, everybody, I'm Jake. I joined the Army in 2011 as a satellite communication systems operator and maintainer, which is a really funny way of saying I waited for the red lights to go on and then I went and fixed some things.
That's good. That's awesome.
I spent 9 months in AIT learning my job. Then I was sent off to Kuwait, and Arif Jan is a base we have in Kuwait, right next to Iraq, I believe. I'm not really great with geography, but I spent the better part of a year there as a shift leader, just perfecting my skills there and learning how to lead a little bit. Had fun with that. Really enjoyed doing my job over there, and that was really what the highlight of my career. Then I left from there, went to a military intelligence unit, and basically had my time wasted for 2 years, which will bring up some of the things to start out with that I would, hopefully like to bring to the table is we have a lot of soldiers that don't get utilized properly. Maybe they learn a certain job and then wind up doing somebody else's. There's a lot of stuff like that. But the heart of the podcast for me is really just to have a voice for veterans, have somewhere we can go, if it impacts anybody's day, if they put this on in the beginning of their day and, they can resonate with it or at least get a laugh or a joke out of it, then that's really what I would find important in this. It's coming together, as it always comes up with camaraderie, is the camaraderie is really what I think most people miss when they get out, is that support structure, that backbone of having all these people that you might not even necessarily like being around, but you spend a lot of time with them and you really get to know them and you have a heart for that person regardless. And so kind of spreading that message back out through this would be my ultimate goal.
It's a good goal.
Yeah. But other than that, for me, that's my background, man.
Good stuff.
I think what I wanted to try to get into as well is just ask questions. So I wanted to, and I don't think we've ever really talked about this, but why did you join?
So before we get there,
I'll
stop you. I do want to point out, obviously, if you're listening, you now know that all of us were once active duty Army. I believe Mike mentioned this before. It might have been on the one that we recorded before, but he did mention that the idea is to get more guests in here with more experience in different branches, the Marines, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force. We want to get Reserve and National Guard in here as well to broaden the spectrum of knowledge for everybody. We feel like that's very good. Obviously, our scope is extensive but narrowed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an incredibly focused lens in terms of, active duty, military, time spent in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we kind of have we've all spent, we're not just a bunch of, infantry line guys. We've all spent, I have infantry line experience, but I also have like brigade command experience. You've got, small unit leadership. Jake's got communications and the technical side. Like, we've got a really good kind of blend, but it is still specific to active duty.
It's lacking.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just wanted to point that out going forward, is like, this isn't just going to be all active duty Army and veterans as well. And then to Jake's point, like, getting the veteran, helping veterans out is great, but I also want to make this podcast for people who are serving.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So if you're a Marine and you're sitting there
trying to figure out how a phone works
and eating your crayons, having, Sunday morning, you're eating your bowl of crayons, don't turn the podcast off, because, we're going to be picked up by Crayola as a sponsored soon. It's going to be great. And we're going to bring some Marines on. It's going to be good. We got you.
We're going to be handing out crayons left and right.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Keep you guys fed.
But yeah, I just wanted to point that out there as well.
Well, it's important to bring
You're not
up.
Forgotten, everybody else. We're not there yet.
Right, exactly.
These are the first two assholes I met, so we'll be working on that.
Ever?
Huh? Yeah. I hate you.
They said you were going to be the comedic relief.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
But so anyways, back to your question.
There you go.
What was it?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Why did you join? What was your motivation behind joining the military?
Yes, my motivation. So at the time I was 20, the year was...
In the year 2302 of our Lord.
Oh, Lord, yeah. It was 2010. I was 22 at the time. I just dropped out of college for the second time. And I didn't have a lot going for me, obviously, right? Lived with my mom and stepdad. First of two stepdads.
Oh, so this wasn't Terry?
No, it wasn't Terry.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I don't know why you didn't listen. If you were living with Terry, I mean, it's like you had your wing in the
trust
mansion.
fund. Yeah, I
just
know,
hang
right?
out.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
we don't need to try,
No.
dude.
This was, yeah.
Meet this Terry.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Oh.
I was trying to get that in unison. Did we get that? I hope we got that in unison.
No. So, like I was saying, I didn't have a lot going for me at the time. I was living with my mom and my stepdad. And it was just one of those things where I was like, well, I've tried college twice now. And then I had a buddy of mine who'd I'd known since kindergarten who was joining the Army. And he's like, hey, man, do you want to join with me? We can do this dual contract, go to base together and everything like that. And I was like, well, I'll give it a try.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. You could back in the day. I don't know if you can now.
Yeah, it was still a thing when I joined too.
Yeah. It was back when they were trying to get numbers still.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a referral thing. Bring your friend, get $100 and go to basic.
It was. You get a
Go to basic for free.
you get like a promotion for that, don't you?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
You bring somebody in. You
go from E1 to E2.
Yeah.
That's how you were able to get sergeant.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I
That's
referred all my
actually
friends.
It's incredible that you were in for so long and don't know how this works.
I know very little about this, and then how the VA operates. No clue.
Like we said, extensive but narrow.
Infantry.
So it was refer a friend. And unfortunately for him, he got popped for marijuana like the week before he was supposed to go.
Wow.
Rip.
So he got his Ranger contract taken away.
Oh.
And got delayed in the delayed entry program anyways. Everybody remembers the DEP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so what he had to like.
So he got delayed again, so I didn't end up going to basic with him at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm already signed up, so why not,
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I got into basic, and we'll probably cover basic stories extensively, but
It's a whole other episode.
But to make a long story short, that's kind of where things started coming together a little bit for me. I was like, oh shit, I'm kind of a worthless piece of shit as a human being a little bit, and so started getting my life together, started actually caring about myself and the way that I maintain myself, and actually having discipline, self-discipline, well, ish. More like self-discipline instilled in you from an outside source.
I like to call it monitor discipline.
There you go. That's a good term, yeah.
Push-up discipline.
Push-up discipline. There
So
you go.
it went, and then you get out, you get pumped up, and you go to your unit and everything like that. So it went from, like, I'm joining because I really don't have a purpose that I can see right now out of anything. And this is all I have going for me, so I'll join the Army. But it turned into actually, like, pride in one's country, and as Mike said, the camaraderie and everything like that. And so, I went from just, I don't know what I'm doing, to I really like what I'm doing now. And this is a really good path that I'm on. And that's my story.
Okay, I did not know
That's
that.
a good reason to join.
No.
I like that. It's better than, the guys who were like, I joined for the college money in basic, immediately doing push-ups. It was amazing. And in Red Face, we were all doing push-ups.
Yeah, but hey, man, those are incentives. They're incentives.
They're there,
totally.
You can join
I
for those
didn't
purposes.
think it was the wisest decision to tell the big, angry infantry drill sergeant that that's why you joined his precious army.
That's not why you should. Yeah,
No,
that's
you
not what you
shouldn't tell
said.
them.
There's
Be honest with your friends, but be real careful with drills.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad reason to join.
So, what was your reason for joining, if you don't mind sharing?
Mine was a little bit more,
Court mandated.
no. Not at all court mandated.
I was like, what?
I grew up about 6 miles from New York City, and when I was 11 years old, I looked out of my 6th grade middle school window in the classroom, and I saw the World Trade Center on fire. And then I saw the second airplane come in, and at first we thought it was an accident, potentially. And then we saw the second airplane come in, and I saw the fireball, and a lot of my friends' parents were killed. My mom was downtown that day, or close to downtown, during 9/11, and I was super worried about her and freaked out and called her, had to make sure everything was okay. And it really, wound up sticking with me. And then as I, kind of went through college or went through high school and whatnot, I was really looking at the whole college option, and it just really wasn't something I wanted to pursue at the time. It's something I've always felt capable of. It just, in that moment, I wasn't really into it, and I was kind of wanting to do something, especially my background coming from kind of like a, upper class, very white, affluent neighborhood in New Jersey. Everybody was like, okay, you go to this really nice high school, and then you graduate, and then you go to college, and then, it's a private school, and your parents pay for everything. And I wanted to do something, and I've always felt that I wanted to do something that was intrinsically different, and the military really answered that calling. And then now that I'm out,
Did you join right out of high school?
immediately,
yeah,
I was running in New Jersey. It's actually, you can't pump your own gas. So I was running. There's always pumpers at all the gas stations.
Full service.
Full service, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was actually running basically this gas station, and so I did that for like 6 months. But then as soon as all my contracts were processed, I just went and shipped off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right out of high school, and then now that I'm out, I'm really considering something with the National Guard or the reserves. I'd love to be able to balance the civilian life with the military life, preferably as an officer. I don't know if I should enlist before I graduate college or just bang out college and then wind up as an officer. I'm kind of still exploring that feasibility option right now.
Well, I think you get a lot of respect, green to gold. Would you call that green to gold? Is that the same thing? Not really.
Not
Yeah, well, Green to Gold is a
particularly.
specific program.
That's a program, right.
This is
That's
something
why.
I got offered a slot at West Point when I was in, and then I also looked at Green to Gold, but I don't know, man. I was young, and I would be out if I was an officer right now. I could have done my time and gotten out. Just because of 28 now, I would have been out or very close to out.
I think there's really something to when 9/11 happened in your life and a certain amount of patriotism that you feel. So
Yeah.
like I have a little brother who I don't believe would remember any of that because I couldn't tell you how old I was, but I was still in elementary school. But I remember that, and I remember it being explained, and I really feel like you could almost look at the enlistment numbers and see that I do believe there was a surge of patriotism in our generation, or what you would call it, from that. And so I didn't know that, though. That's pretty wild,
I mean,
man.
especially in the tri-state area, it was such a personal, there, and then around Washington D.C. as well, places where like it geographically happened.
Yeah,
like, and it was an icon. We'd go to you'd go to Hoboken. You'd go to Hoboken, which is a small city right across the water from New York, and there'd be the trade towers, and it was, an icon to the city. And then all of a sudden they weren't there, and then half of your classmates aren't there because their parents are now dead.
Wow.
So it's it was an intense kind of situation to grow up around.
Yeah. I say not to dive too deep to it, but like you said, I feel like proximity to it has a lot to do with it too, as opposed to like you're in just the West Coast or something like that,
right?
And you see it on TV like 2 hours later or something like that, and I feel like that has a much different impact than looking out the window and seeing it happen. Right?
Yeah, when I was, and then I was talking to my mom about this, and she laughed and goes, "Don't you remember you were cutting out pictures of Navy SEALs in Afghanistan in like October and posting them all over your bedroom door, and there was one of Osama bin Laden with like 'Let's go get him' from the the New York Post and all sorts of stuff." So it was just like and I have zero memory of this, but I've seen pictures that, and she told me about it. So it's like, it's interesting that it's affected me that much at that age, but I actually I haven't internalized those memories.
No.
Right.
Which is, but that's kind of that was my rationale for joining. And it's just something I've always kind of, really felt like I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm out, I kind of miss it. So it's like, I wonder if it is a calling in my life that,
Could be.
It's a real easy thing to miss.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But again, it's I always look at things, with rose-colored glasses on the other side.
Sure.
Yeah, but you can't see any of the red flags, man.
Yeah.
Well, now you know the pitfalls though too.
I just feel like in the National Guard, I wouldn't have to eat at DFACs.
You wouldn't.
And I wouldn't have to pull staff duty that much.
I mean, you can get
Not particularly.
You can get switched
and
into.
not what did they call it? Was it CQ?
What, charge of quarters?
Charge of quarters.
Yeah.
It was CQ. Yeah. See, that's just
Is that what CQ stands for?
Charge of quarters. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
it's AIDS, man. It's like
See, that goes back to the bridging the divide thing. Is like nobody understands. It's like, yeah. So what are you doing today? I'm sitting at a desk for 24 hours.
24 hours. I'm
I
gonna
can't
sit here.
straight. I've had 17 Red Bulls, and my heart was
They
going to
just let you sit on Facebook? Yeah, they don't care. Somebody watching
Oh
you
no,
right now.
you're fucking lucky.
You had
bro.
nice, yeah.
You
should
weren't
be-
in a combat brigade where they're like, you can't do anything but sit there behind this desk for at least until 5 p.m.
Al
Pull my
Qaeda
hair
could
out.
come through the
Yeah.
door right now
Yeah, real
and take
worried
over
about
this barracks.
East
You need
Bliss
to be
getting
awake.
attacked.
Yeah. You know how much Battlefield I could have played, how much Xbox could have been accomplished? I could have had my live stream up years ago.
Years ago.
All that time
Anyways,
wasted.
all that
You
time
could have been
wasted.
playing video games.
Anyways, hard transition. What about you, Jake?
It's a really good transition there. I like that.
For me, I remember like thinking in junior high, like, yeah, maybe I'll join the army or something, But I mean, dude, that was such a small thought.
Well, that's like every boys thing. I think in junior high, it's, minus yours, you had a different reason.
I think
Some people want to become astronauts.
I think I talked
I
to a
did.
Marine
Pilots.
recruiter at some point, and
God, you didn't do that.
no, I didn't. No, he literally, because I think he was my friend's recruiter or something, but he gave my number like to the other branches, and so I started getting call. I got a call from the army, man, and then my recruiter was the coolest dude. Didn't bullshit me at all. Real cool. He came in, played some games with me, chilled. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. Like I think it was like early in senior year of high school, and I enlisted in November. I joined because I think a lot of that, I think the patriotism comes from, seeing that and always growing up in this, I think growing up it was really easy to be like, oh yeah, we're over there fighting for freedom. So I don't want to get on that, but there was that feeling, and I think, the benefits are nice. It's a great way to set your life up. I think my dad always really favored like military stuff, so I think that played into it. But yeah, it was just a little bit of everything. It was being a bigger part of something else. The college thing didn't seem right. Like I went to Katy High School, and so it was like everybody was just freaking out about college all the time.
Yeah,
freaking
it's the
out,
same mentality. Is
And
what
it's
I
like,
came
That's
from.
what you
what do you guys?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like you guys are all just pumping up for something you don't even know anything about. And I just wanted to do something different. Yeah, so it wasn't. I don't think it was too hard to recruit me. And then it was right out of high school. I was in there. But yeah, I mean, it was like the best thing I ever did.
Same.
And within a couple months, you're like a different person. Everybody,
It's wild how fast you change.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, yeah,
Well, I think it wasn't really until I was home the first time, which was months and months and months after joining, and it was like just seeing friends and like, whoa, man. And I was like, what? I was like, you're just real different. I was still wild and goofy,
Right,
but
yeah.
I was not the same.
There's like an edge to you.
Yeah.
Like a little bit.
I think you're always kind of.
I think
you're always just kind of ready.
trained satellite communications killer.
Hey, man, dude, that job is nothing but explosions and ninja stars. You have no idea. Okay? I got
Equipment keeps breaking and you keep blowing it up in anger.
Spaceship
stories,
or
man.
space shuttle door gunner.
You guys know about that?
Dude, they discontinued the space shuttle program. How is this possible?
Space Force, baby. It's coming back.
Oh, God. Sign me up. Is this going to be like Armageddon?
Probably.
Dibs not being Bruce Willis.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I could get into the Space Force. I'm just saying.
You, of all people, could.
Yeah.
They're going to look at me and they're like, mobile infantry ain't ready yet.
MI made me the man I am today.
Would you like to know more?
Service through citizenship? No, we're not talking. Yeah.
No, all right.
Let's not get into this.
No.
Oh, well, that's an interesting conversation, at least.
I mean, that's an idea.
For a podcast,
Yeah.
if we want to just create the most divided audience base ever.
Can you read, Mike?
No, I'm infantry.
No, I'm serious.
Can I read?
Yeah. I mean, I know you can read. It was more like, do you read? But you're an infantry guy, so I had to go that route.
Oh, well, yeah, of course I
Not
read.
well.
You should. Have you ever read Starship Troopers?
No, I've seen the movie multiple times, but I've actually never read
It's
it.
actually
See,
really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was recommended to me when I was still in because you have that military mindset,
Same.
and it really, man, it gives you a really weird insight into because it's mostly it's a totalitarian kind of thing, right? Or it's a critique of
military.
it's a militaristic. Yeah.
Militant regime.
Yeah, it's a
kind of.
military regime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book is much less funny, believe it or not.
I mean, the movie's hysterical.
The movie's
I mean,
not meant to be funny, though. is
Right. The movie's a parody of the book, and the book is a parody of like military dictatorships, basically. It's and so it's just this. The book is really just this huge dystopian look at a militaristic society and what it would look like.
Yeah.
And it's really well done.
Real? Okay.
Yeah. Like,
I'll have to give it
yeah.
a read. Yeah, I'll download it on
There's
Kindle.
very little combat or anything. It's mostly bureaucratic nonsense and orders coming down from the top being goofy or
Man, I don't want to read a space biography of
no,
ourselves.
It it delves into the whole idea of citizenship through service, like a lot. Like, and it goes
Okay.
really into it. And it goes real in depth to it.
I'll give it a read. And
That's
then maybe,
interesting.
give it a read and I'll look at it from a couple more. I'll read Starship Troopers and then I'm educated enough to talk about citizenship through service.
Yeah. Anyways, we're getting
Perfect.
way the fuck off topic.
no, that's what it's all about. It's
Yeah,
military
this is what-
conversation.
No, I
this is
know.
allowed to go.
No, it is.
So
It absolutely
we all
is.
talked about why we decided to join and then some Starship Troopers.
Sure.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing wrong with
Everybody
that.
loves Starship Troopers.
Yeah, and if you don't, stop listening right
Everybody
now.
that's American.
Would you like to know more?
Desire to know more intensifies. So housekeeping? Any housekeeping stuff? We're
Not
talking about
really.
like a usual length of an episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'd shoot for like 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the goal was 45 minutes. We were going to try
That's
to do.
aggressive.
30 to 45.
Especially
That's fun.
Somewhere
you
in
know,
between there. Yeah.
When we start getting guests on, especially, I think it's cool to open it up. We can do have our conversation pieces, kind of talk about rehash anything last week, answer emails, answer questions.
Yeah.
And then
Low speed, high drag Monday mailbag.
Yeah, I would love that. That's, Low speed, high drag Monday mailbag. We got to figure out a cool way to say it.
Do like a graphic or audio thing. I don't know.
Sure, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But yeah, then, bring some guests on. And I'm real excited to get some guests on here, honestly, and kind of
too.
delve into. And we can do, we can bring in,
Well, I think that's what's great is we have so many. I know we at least the three of us could find a couple people that we know in the area that
sure.
would be interesting to bring in.
yeah, some subject matter experts just on all sorts of stuff across the board from different branches, different styles of
Just
service
go
in terms of
grab some poor
and-
nurse from the VA and bring her in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like the goal is Dan Crenshaw, right? Like once we do that, we can just shut off the lights. We're done.
yeah, Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Take your
Yeah,
hat off when you say Dan Crenshaw's name, okay?
If we can get Dan Crenshaw and if we can get General Mattis,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
done.
Like that's it. Like I
I'm
don't
done.
know.
Yeah.
I've actually got Mad Dog's number. So I'll just call him up.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, I've really got Mad Dog's number.
Dude, I'm infantry. Don't mess with me. I'm not that smart, man.
We know. Well, I think that's about going to wrap it up for our maiden voyage here in the Motorpool Mondays. If you guys want to say goodbye.
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 If you guys have anything you guys want to bring up to us, the links are down below, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Motorpool Mondays. Check back next week to hear us hash out the new topic. Questions, comments, concerns? Try any of our social media pages to reach out.